round. Ms. Rachel Blaney now has the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate this, and I want to thank all the people that testified today, and I especially want to thank those of you who served for your tremendous service to us and your personal sacrifice, because I think that is something that is very specific to those of you who served. You have served and you have personally sacrificed to bring forward these realities so that we can do a better job. So thank you for that. Thank you for your advocacy, your dedication, and your work. If I may start with you, Sergeant Underwood. It's a little bit weird to call you that, Nina, but that's how it works. I want to thank you, first of all, for sharing your story. That was incredibly personal, and it's important that those words are on the record. And I just want to say that one of the things that really impacted me about listening to that story is this idea of hiding and then consistently having to explain. And I think that's something I hope everybody takes away from this, is that when we have groups in our communities that have to hide who they are, and once we open those doors, they have to continuously explain, then something is falling apart that should not be falling apart, and we need to rectify that. And I also want to thank you so much for giving us all a copy of this form that really tells us something important, which is when you're in defense, you are not, in the CAF, you are not identifying this particular group. So now we know that we don't have the data and the information from the LGBTQ2+. And that means that when we transfer, when we see people transfer to Veterans Affairs, that record keeping continues to not be kept in a meaningful way. So I'm just wondering if you could help us with some sort of recommendation about what VAC can do to ensure that services are delivered correctly to this stakeholder group, to the LGBTQ2 plus community, if they don't even know who they are.
Thank you for that question. My suggestion, just thinking off the top of my head, because I didn't think about this before, maybe what they should do is when someone contacts them, send an automatic they offer you every time you phone them, you get this, would you like to take part in a little survey? Well, the survey isn't relevant to anything that me or any of the questions, the problems I have. So maybe what they should be doing is when you contact them, they should be emailing you or something, a survey that actually includes that kind of information, and ask if you want to do it. I mean, there's always going to be some members of the community who do not want to be exposed, that are still, in a sense, in hiding. I know people like that. I see it increasingly less, but there still is people out there exactly that are not ready yet to be public about who they really are. So that would be my suggestion for that, is maybe they need to have a survey about who are you, as opposed to, did we give good service? Grocery stores do that. Do they give good service? I'm not sure that that's really what we need.
Well, thank you for that. So change the forms and make sure that the surveys ask questions. I hear that loud and clear. You spoke also about witnessing and yourself enduring hostility while you served, and seeing members from the community go through that as well. I'm just wondering if you could give us some examples. I just want to make sure it's on the record. What happens when we repress and hide?
For my personal experience, part of it is that I had to isolate myself. I could not take part in any social events in the forces because, one thing the forces likes to do is, at least in the past, is most of the social events involve drinking. So I could not lose that kind of control in a way that was acceptable to lose that kind of control. I also, even when, as I said, even when I know it was possible, I had friends who went through that became public of who they were. And I could not, there's just no way I could endure that as well as everything else. They were, almost all of them were forced out within a matter of months or a year at most of the forces. They just to serve in that kind of poisonous, hostile environment is just unimaginable. It's not one thing. It's just the fact that it never stops. Or as a panel member that's on here once mentioned to me, it's the endless pinpricks, the endless. It's not any one big thing. It's just that it's endless. And that's the trauma that I'm dealing with right now.
Thank you for that. I only have a few seconds left, so I guess my last question to you is just how would having a caseworker help with the transition?
Well, it would have cut months off my application to start with because I had to keep going through this over and over. Uh, I live beside a large base, but there's the nearest veterans center to go to is Victoria. That's it's 3 hours drive away. So yeah, not having anybody that you can go and meet face to face, that every time I phone in, it's a different individual. That makes it very hard. And as I said, I found the same thing was extremely difficult to get my dad's his case moved forward. That's why my mother actually just gave up, and I had to take it on.
Thank you, and thank you, Miss MP.